Hey guys, welcome back to Tim's Turbos. Wanted to go over a few things on how to remove a turbine housing properly so you don't end up with a damaged turbine wheel or damaged turbine housing. First thing that comes off when you see a turbine housing that's been contacted from a bad removal is you'll have these blade tips that are bent up. So if you're buying stuff and you see these blades bent, it's usually a good idea to walk away from that thing because it's going to be a paperweight. So first off, in the last blog we did, I showed you how to split a turbine housing with a bandsaw. So we got this one, and we got it cut in half. Wanted to go over a couple of the spots that really get most of the contamination going on. Right here is the bearing pocket, and the heat shield's going to sit on that lip. Right here is the whole area the heat shield's going to be. That gets a lot of condensation in there, and it can hold on to it. Right here is obviously the diffuser. These are the exhaust gas passes. That's where everything goes into the inducer of the turbine wheel. Goes around the contour, and now the exducer of the turbine wheel. We'll go over all that stuff another time. But what we're trying to do here is show you where most of the stuff is sticking on the turbine housing itself. So if you can see closely here, right here and here are where the bearing pocket sticks. And so you're going to be spraying a lot of penetrating oil here and a lot into the heat shield itself. Nothing actually gets to the heat shield from that end. So the best thing to do is flip the turbocharger upside down, and you want to spray right around the hub because it'll seep down and go and get right on top of the heat shield and get in between the turbine housing and the heat shield. A lot of times you can have a turbo that feels loose like this and it's spinning. What's happening is the heat shield is stuck in there. If you hammer on that turbine wheel, you will damage everything in the turbocharger. So, first things first, get yourself a rusty turbo. Like I said before, spray down the hub. Get yourself one of the best tools out there, a liquid wrench. I use Inforce. It seems to work the best for me. You spray everything around that hub and let it soak hours, days, however long it takes, upside down. Just leave it on the table because it'll sit in a pool and it'll penetrate the best. After you've done that for a while, you're going to have to rip out all these bolts. Usually you end up with 2 bolts that are going to be the most stubborn. You can't get the box end wrench on them because it's got the oil inlet and the oil outlet on each side. What you really want to do with that is, if you can get the bolts to loosen up just a little bit, you want to be able to pull them out maybe 3 or 4 threads till they start to hit the oil flanges. And that's fine because you can leave those clamps on there, because when you hammer it off, you don't want that turbine housing to fall off and scrape the turbine wheel and also smash your toes. And so if you get them to the loose point, that's all you really need to do. Now you got 3 hammers. The soft hammer, which works really good on different types of turbine housings, like some of the KO3s and the Borg-Warner units. The dead blows, I use these on a lot of the Mitsubishis with the V-band clamps on them. And for most of the big stuff, I'm going to use a hard-face dead blow hammer. The way I do it, there's no magic tool except for the hammer. Prop the compressor on your stomach. Right where the X is, you're going to go at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. You're going to smack it. Wear gloves because you will hit your hands. Going to go to the other side, smack it again. Don't hammer on the flange, you will mushroom it and it will never seal until you get a flat file and clean it. Now you want to keep doing this every 180 degrees till the turbine housing falls off. But each time you hit it, it's very critical to make sure that the turbine shaft can still rotate, because if it rotates improperly and hits the side, you'll bend the head and damage it. And if you hit it once and it stops, just move back 180 degrees and smack it again. Usually that's going to loosen it up if the turbine housing is moving. That's basically how you pull those off. You can get some of the other units like the KO4s, KO3s and stuff. They have a little bit different way of pressing the bearing housing in there. They have a long sleeve that goes in. You can see that on the bearing housing here. The heat shield is front face pressed in instead, so it doesn't come up here. So this is just bare steel on steel. So they're going to hang in there a lot. I usually use a soft hammer for those because for some reason they just make a little bit better harmonic when you're trying to pop them out, and they seem to work the best. Almost always you're going to need to use a blowtorch on that kind of stuff. That way you don't damage the parts. So I hope this helps out. If you got bent wheels and stuff like that, send them in the shop. We can fix them for you. Thanks a lot for Tim's Turbos.